a classic logo of LG. Their start of this hydrogen cars to the second one, which is the Polaris Project, first car that Hyundai sold, and finally Hyundai Nexo. Last but not least, the INITIUM. Welcome to CarSceneKorea. I introduce newly released Genesis Hyundai and Kia cars. And as you saw from the thumbnail, the car I have behind me today is INITIUM Concept. Although it's a concept car, it is a production-ready car. So that being said, that car will be available as early as the start of 2025. INITIUM stands for start in Latin word. It is the car that will succeed Hyundai Nexo, the most and best-selling FCEV vehicle from Hyundai Motor Group, as well as in the entire industry, and if not the world. I will get back to INITIUM momentarily, of course, but Hyundai has kindly given us all their lineups of FCEV that they have produced up until today. And FCEV, I'll be using that word and term a lot today, which stands for fuel cell electric vehicle. And Hyundai's take and their start of this hydrogen cars started all the way back in when Korea was undergoing IMF crisis. I'll put it in the subtitle what that is all about. Even back then, when the company and the country was struggling, Hyundai decided that they will invest in hydrogen fuel cell cars, and this is the result that we see. Hyundai geared to make the car in 6 months, and they did it. This is the very car that you see. All the way back then, they got the technology from the UTC, United Technologies company. That's when researchers of Hyundai Motor Group flew to the United States to learn the technology, and they came up with this very car that we see. And this is one of the early Tucson, if not first generation. However, there's nothing significant about the wheels and tires. I have a feeling this might be a mock-up as well. You see, the car has not been moving and utilizing the pads and rotors that much. Not just that, feel free to pause the video and also go through the document that Hyundai Motor Group and UTC Power have been communicating. So there is all their technologies and also inside intel. And look at this. Wow, this is the good old notes. You can actually tear that apart. We use that a lot in high school. And of course, the photos of that time. So cars being running around, being tested, as you can see, and joint development agreement for fuel cell vehicle all the way, once again, back in 2000. There's also a whole bunch of video clips about Hyundai working together with the team. This is actually the very chairman himself, Gu Chung, as stated. So he's the founder of the Hyundai Motor Group. So feel free to pause the video, as there is also English description about it. So there's a story behind all this. And moving on to the second one, which is the Polaris Project. And this is the next level project where Hyundai got all serious after the Mercury Project. The highlight out of this project would be being able to hold hydrogen without the leak for 2 weeks. The particles being small and the hydrogen is very hard to store. That is one remarkable technology and achievement milestone that Hyundai has achieved come this FCEV. This car is now a Santa Fe, the Santa Fe first generation, which is the car that still runs on the streets of Korea. This car too, this car is more like a mock-up, so the car has not been running. Oh, there's also the Michelin Challenge Bibendum. From Michelin, it's called Bibendum, right? Not sure what it does commemorate, but there is a trophy about it, the magazine. Feel free to pause the video, as I've said, and a scrap from the local newspaper. Wow, this really brings me back, and all of us back, right? So that's how long Hyundai Motor Group's study and research on fuel cell EVs go ever since 1998. Once again, it just didn't happen overnight. Hyundai has been working on it. The trunk compartment, you can see all of that, and that is actually a classic logo of LG. Graphite bipolar plates in early stage. The team decided to imprint the plates because it was just so hard to maintain with a very thin gasket, and that was the remarkable tech that they were able to draw from this project. Let's move on to the Tucson iX fuel cell, which is the first car that Hyundai sold over 1,000 units. And it was mostly sold in Europe, but this is the first mass-produced fuel cell EV that Hyundai sold. And there are just a lot of stories to tell with each and every fuel cell EV that Hyundai made, of course, right? Wherever they go, whenever this car was made ready, the car drew attention because it was one of the leading tech when it comes to any and every FCEV, as we can see. And finally, Hyundai Nexo, and this is the car that I met multiple times already on my way up to Hyundai Motorstudio Goyang here today. This is still the most sold car in the world when it comes to FCEV. This car was way ahead of its time. People drive this as a family vehicle and very futuristic design, and perhaps this is the first time and design that we saw horizontal line connecting the DRLs and the headlights together. This was well beyond the time Hyundai started using the seamless horizon lamp. So it's not the same design language, of course. However, it has that one horizontal line, and every time I saw this car lit up during the nighttime, I was like, what car is that? And the wheels and tires as well, mostly covered up, the shield type to provide the best driving range and efficiency out of a wheel possible. The cladding actually is also connected and carried over, and just like it is with INITIUM. And also this futuristic rear taillights as well, one of a kind. Still, there is no car like this from Hyundai Motor Group up until today. That being said, I'm really curious as to how INITIUM would look like the production model. So Tucson iX fuel cell stack. This is like the engine for ICE cars when it comes to FCEV. And just look at that. Even the design up until today, this FCEV looked very futuristic. And look at this, the hydrogen fuel cell tank. So this is the tank that's used in Nexo. You can see all the specs written on it. And it's actually to be destroyed after 2039. And there are like Nexo cathode and Nexo anode. Those stuff that I only picked up from my chemistry class. Honestly speaking, I have no idea what they do. I just know this is the key and essence behind the Nexo and FCEV technology. It's made in-house using Hyundai Motor Group technology, first time ever, not borrowing any text from the third company. So some of the design sketch for Nexo, both interior and exterior, and the hydrogen fuel cell system installed in Nexo. So this is the most important system out of Nexo and the current technology in the market when it comes to the hydrogen fuel cell cars. So look at the tech put behind all this. Stack cooling pump, coolant bypass, coolant tank control valve, the coolant heater. So wow, I gotta learn all of this all again because it is just completely different from ICE internal combustion engine cars, of course. So this is the result of Nexo. It won the 10 best engines in 2019 already. The fuel cell powertrain Hyundai Nexo. As a bus, as other transportation means, Hyundai is not just stopping with Nexo, of course. There are other FCEVs, the commercial trucks that's currently being running around and being tested as we speak. They already have achieved remarkable results, even with the commercial trucks, which I'll include in the screen right now. So just wait until we see that INITIUM as a production model. Really just can't wait. And recently they also have gone to Jeju Island, showcasing that they can also be ran in an island. So charging facility might not be a huge issue. And this seems to be the Tokyo Tower, isn't it? So also another photo shot at Tokyo Tower. There also has been an event testing out the real world consumption and driving range of Nexo. So a lot of people enjoy their Nexo, decorating and also modifying their cars that way. Look at that, it's got the Japanese license plate on it. And last but not least, finally, I give it to you, ladies and gentlemen, it is the INITIUM. Once again, this is the concept car that I am showing you. However, starting as soon as early next year, this car will be ready for mass production. So you can call it a successor to that of Hyundai Nexo that's currently, or pretty much the only hydrogen car that's available out in the market. That's not just Hyundai Motor Group, but it's also mostly globally as well. There's not that many manufacturers in the world that is currently mass producing a functional working FCEV. This INITIUM will be the last car that has the latest techs and features and updates. That being said, let me give you some updates and rundowns of the car. This car, from the look, as you can see, the car actually started off from the material, which is steel. So that steel has its characteristics and also the temperature, I would say. That steel provides the masculine, the bold, and also that protective, the robust feeling and sensation to it, which I think is also abundantly found on the front of the vehicle as well. I mean, just look at the front bumper with the skid plates and all. However, it doesn't just end there. So Hyundai focused utilizing the tension which steel possesses as a material, and the front bumper, as I've showed you, has the armor design bumper. It is no doubt. It looks so robust. It definitely is an armor feel. This INITIUM is next level. Really feel like there's the armor right on the front of the bumper, as you can see. Going together with the front design, the rear design also has a muffler-like. However, well, there's no muffler, the car being FCEV. However, they decided to put on the steel plate on both of the sides, as you can see, which kind of replaced where the mufflers used to be. This also gives more of a balanced look of the rear. Both commonly found on front and the rear of the car is those 4 dots. And if you've been watching my channel and video, you guys know what I'm about to say when it comes to 4 dots. 4 dots stand for a Morse code letter H, and H for Hyundai, of course. And this time with the INITIUM, Hyundai just did not leave it there. They went above and beyond and came up with the 4 DRL lights found on the front of the vehicle. Looking at the profile, there are grooves on the side skirts. People have been criticizing about a bit of plastic claddings around the car. I mean, it's not those plastic claddings that we are used to seeing. It has a lot of mixed material, I would say. Hyundai didn't really specify what they are, but I'm 99% sure that they are made from a reusable and upcycled material. So it's not just a plain plastic. I'm looking at it up close. It's mixed of a lot of materials. So fingers crossed, hopefully you will see that on the final version, the production model of the vehicle as well. I like how that cladding actually wraps around the entire car. Not the first time we see this on Hyundai Motor Group cars. However, it definitely gives more of that off-road going type of vibe to it. However, the design itself, very futuristic. The car is also modern. It has 21-inch wheels, and that's also the shield type of design that we have been seeing here and there with a lot of EVs. Not only does that reduce the resistance created from the wheel itself, which also translates into further and better driving range. I don't see any bolts on the wheels. However, that is mostly because the car is a concept. It's not just about the looks and design this time. Hyundai also utilized and upgraded, and there's more tech put behind the wheels and tires, which I will tell you momentarily. So let's go into the 3 segments about this car that Hyundai specified. First is the driving range and performance. The car is fully capable of long distance travel, which travels up to 650 kilometers AER, according to Korean domestic standard, which is known to be more harsh than WLTP standards, so do keep that in mind. I should be really careful when saying this. However, you could probably see more than 700 kilometers based on WLTP standards. Once again, when the car comes into production and is ready for a test drive, I'll test that out myself. And that is made possible thanks to higher density in hydrogen tanks that this INITIUM uses. And here comes the performance. The car has 150 kilowatts of maximum power, which pushes the car from a stop 0 to 100 in 8.0 seconds. And yes, it's not the fastest car. It's not the lowest number that we've seen. It's not those 2-3 second crazy figure that we are used to seeing with the EVs. However, bringing in and contributing the persona of people who will be buying and utilizing this hydrogen fuel cell cars, this is more than enough. And sometimes lower 0 to 60, 0 to 100 kilometers per hour, it actually contributes and helps you to drive the vehicle very smoothly. And you guys know what I mean if you have been driving ultra high performance EVs like Ioniq 5N and EV6 GT. Once again, 8 seconds, 0 to 100 kilometers per hour. From 80 to 120 kilometers per hour, which is also frequent category of using the power, that sits well between your daily torque band. And that's a power when you need the most when merging into highway lanes and whatnot. 80 to 120 kilometers per hour under 6 seconds. That is faster, if not fastest, when comparing it to the competitors. So let's move on to the second point, the space of INITIUM. With Nexo, which is known to be the predecessor, right, of this INITIUM, a lot of complaints were filed about the second row seat. there wasn't much about the driver's seat, there wasn't much about the car itself. So in order to alleviate that, Hyundai went above and beyond with the second row seat, especially with the INITIUM, providing more legroom and higher headroom, and also more reclining on the second row seat. Hyundai also provided larger rear overhang of the INITIUM, allowing the car to fit up to 4 golf bags on the trunk. Not to mention the second row doors opening up wider, more than it used to before, and that of course is a plus with a family of children, doggos. Wider open doors, it always helps. All right, moving on to the last point, the feature and safety of this INITIUM. And the car being a hydrogen powered fuel cell EV, the charging infrastructure of the hydrogen fuel cell cars is a bit challenge up until today, and that's also one of the reasons why people gave up on getting a Nexo as their daily vehicle. Charging stations. Ever since the debut of Nexo and up until this INITIUM, there are more charging stations available now. What good does it do if the charging station is, I don't know, out of service or is currently overbooked and is currently all being serviced? That is all taken care of this time because Hyundai actually came up with a dedicated route planner for this INITIUM. So when you just punch in your destination on your navigation, onboard navigation will provide you the best route should you wish to charge your vehicle in between your routes. It's really a simple tech, to be honest. However, thanks to the data that Hyundai Motor Group possesses using their onboard navigation, they can actually tell the drivers real time what the status of the charging stations are like. So there is no more waiting in line, or there is no more broken down charging stations for FCEVs. And of course, the car being an EV, FCEV V2L is available, vehicle to load, meaning you can use and pump out electricity. INITIUM actually makes about 1/3 of electricity the Seoul housing uses every month. So that's a lot of electricity in a single charge of this INITIUM, as we all know. Moving on to the last one, the utmost important thing when it comes to any car, that is safety. So the robust body structure also has the multi-structure on the front, which also comes with the upgraded sides, totaling up to 9 airbags, which is also the best one in its class. There's also onboard camera. Pretty sure there will be the built-in cam 2, which will record both front and rear of the car included with the audio. And the car, of course, gets the latest ADAS tech. All of the latest tech we currently have on Hyundai Motor Group, you will see it in this INITIUM. And this car will be, once again, production ready as early as the start of next year. And we've gone over the front and the profile of the vehicle. Let's look at the C quarter glass as well as the rear design up close. This is one of a kind, definitely unique, nothing like we've seen before from Hyundai Motor Group thus far. This C quarter glass, I wonder what it would look like from the inside, but it's elongated, stretches out almost up until the tailgate, as we can see. Definitely something that we've seen with seamless horizon lamp. So we don't see any of that on the front. However, it's found on the rear side of this INITIUM, hence carrying over the seamless horizon lamp, which is the penetrating design language and theme of recent Hyundai cars. And that H2 logo inspired DRL design pattern is also found as a rear taillight on the rear. What the material actually looks like super up close, as you can see. And thanks to this fast dropping trunk design, INITIUM is able to fit in 4 golf bags in the trunk. And charger port for the hydrogen, it looks like. And of course, the digital side mirror DSM. And that seems to be the latest DSM. Maybe, maybe not. However, definitely a design that we have not yet seen before. And the roof has the H2 inspired on the roof rail as well. And what I mean by that is that logo right there. That actually is the symbol for H2, which is the hydrogen brand for Hyundai, including the footages when the lights are lit up, both on the top, the rear portion, and can't believe I missed it out. It has the matte flat latest Hyundai emblem, as you can see. And right over here is another charger port. So I will only be able to find out which one is which, but pretty sure that is the hydrogen because it has the H2 logo on here. The other side will be actually like a DC combo charging port, because it's got the plug written on it, right? All right, so that's it for today's video. Well, by the way, if you come to Hyundai Motorstudio Goyang, you can also check out all these exhibitions that they currently have with crews here who will guide you through all of the concept cars and the cars on display and the facility. So feel free to check it out next time you visit here in Korea. So once again, I have all the history of FCEVs on the back, and big shout out to Hyundai Motorstudio crews and crews over there making all this happen. All right, so that's it for today's video. Don't forget to like and subscribe CarSceneKorea if you did, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.
Commitment can be shown through time, by dedication to a cause, with a sense of responsibility, and staying true to its essence. We see them all reflected in our commitment to hydrogen in 1998. Though it wasn't an easy path to drive, while the economy was shrinking, we dreamt bigger. When hydrogen development seemed like a dead end, we stayed committed. Committed to stay true to our vision to come. A hydrogen society. Delivering the culmination of our past 27 years, we stand clearly committed.